So what I did is I went and grabbed 5 knives out of the drawer semi-randomly. I did put a little thought in it. If I ended up grabbing something that was very close to what I already had, I said, nah, grab something else. But beyond that, I just grabbed these 5 knives out of the drawer, and believe it or not, they have nothing to do with this video that I'm going to be shooting, but I figured I needed to have something up here for you to look at while I talk to you. And I will talk a little bit about these knives while I get to the actual purpose of the video. And before we move on, I'll just start with this one here, because I actually did a video on this one a while back, and this is I think they call it the canyon bone handles. Notice how thick it is. It's a very thick bone with some jigging going on there, and I think this is in the Caribbean blue. I did not prepare for this at all, so I can't tell you much about it other than it's a case 3 3/8 inch Stockman, and I really like this size of a knife, and this handle actually feels really good in the hand. You got a nice little clip blade there, a sheepfoot blade, and then you got the small spay blade over here. Typical of what you see on a Stockman. I would have rather had a pin blade or a punch over there, but either one would have been nice. And I could easily, if I really felt like it, I could go and turn that into a pin blade with a simple hit on the grinder with it. But I'm not going to do it. It's not that big of a deal. In any case, like I said, this is really not what the video is about. What I actually want to talk about is something that we say to ourselves and to others, and maybe some people are being 100% honest with it, but for me to say it these days, it would be a lie if I were to say I only buy knives that I plan on carrying, or I only buy knives that I'm going to use, because well, with the number of knives that I currently have, I could carry a different knife every day for several years without repeating. And really, is anyone really going to do that? I know I'm not. There's a handful of knives that I carry all the time, and there's plenty of knives that I don't carry ever, such as this one here. This is the Bill Owen line of knives. I really like this one. A nice, beautiful teardrop knife, and so you got the ruler on the back there. Like, I guess if you're measuring minnows, that would be pretty cool. But how many people have a 2-inch fish that's a keeper? Maybe your goldfish. In any case, it's a really nice looking knife, and you got this little bail here that looks like a fish hook, which is cool. And you got the slanted bolster up front. This is by Buck, but it was made through Smoky Mountain Knife Works through the Rough Rider factory. And it's a knife I really wish Rough Rider would come out with, especially if they left off the slant R big bolster or the big R slant bolster or whatever you want to call it. Because this knife comes with a beautiful Spearmaster blade there, and notice you got the half stop going, really nice, and a little bit of a saber grind going there. This is a hollow grind here, but you notice the reinforced top here and the swedge up front. Really nice looking knife. And then the secondary blade is a pin blade, but it has been serrated more or less for cutting fins off of fish and for cutting through fish bone and stuff like that. So it's a really cool little knife, and you got the nice fish scale going on there. So really nice knife. And obviously I don't carry it. I've got there's like 2 or 3 knives in the Bill Owen series that I don't have. I probably will never finish the series, but it was a nice series when it was going on, and I do like the ones that I do have in it. But like I said, would I carry a knife like this? Yes, I would carry a knife like this. A nice teardrop 2-blade jackknife. It would be something I would definitely carry. Could be very useful. But that's what I'm going to be talking about, is knives that aren't really useful, but you still collect. So I won't be talking about things like this, which is the Rough Rider. This is in the glow series, so the handles actually glow. One time they were calling it the Moon Glow series, but or at least everyone was calling it the Moon Glow series, but it was just the Glow series. And obviously this is the their work knife, which everyone else would look at as a locking sod buster, and it's a pretty cool knife. And who wouldn't carry such a knife? It's a very useful, very functional knife, and easy to pocket and easy to carry. So, and a lot of people carry sod busters, and on occasion I will throw a sod buster in my pocket and carry it, and I often will use one around the house. So sod busters are definitely not the kind of knives that I'm going to be talking about in this video. But this next knife, yeah, this is something that I collect, but it's not something that I would be carrying all the time. And that's this one over here. This is from Outdoor Life. I don't know actually who made it, but just stamped outdoor, and I believe it was made in China. Yeah, stainless China. It looks like something that would have been made by maybe Schrade. I don't know. But again, it's got the little spay blade over here, but if you noticed, it's got this little serrated edge here, and it's something you could easily sharpen because the way it is set up. And I believe that again is for cutting through bone and maybe fins and stuff. But this is a bird hunter's knife because it's got the little bird hook here, and the bird hook, you use that, you stick it up the bird's you know what, give it a turn, and then pull out all the innards and stuff. I guess you could also use it on other animals too, but this is the bird hunter's knife. And I got a couple bird hunter's knives, but I'm not a bird hunter. If I were to ever become a bird hunter, I think I would probably go hunt pheasant, maybe. I think that would be kind of fun. But currently, no, I've never hunted anything. I've gone fishing a lot, but I've never really gone hunting. But yeah, I could see myself bird hunting for pheasant. That could be pretty fun. And so if I ever went bird hunting, yeah, I would have a knife for it. But here's another one. These are big and heavy, and it's a gunboat. Pretty cool knife. It's the only gunboat I have, so it isn't something that I go out of the way to collect. And that's really what I'm talking about here. I picked this one up mainly because I didn't have a gunboat and I wanted to see what a gunboat was like. So I bought the Rough Rider gunboat and thought it was pretty cool, but it also was something that was kind of impractical for me. I mean, it's a big knife, and it's really just a big Stockman on a canoe frame. A lot of people collect them. Maybe some people use them too. Got a really big honking sheepfoot blade, you know. But spay blade over here, big fat spay blade. So it's a pretty cool knife, but it isn't something that just said, man, I want to collect more of those, even if I'm not going to use it. And that's really what this video is going to be talking about, is knives that you tend to go out of your way to collect, but you don't really ever use. Maybe once in a while you'll throw it in your pocket because it's just a fun knife, but really that's not why you're buying them. You're buying them simply because you think they look cool and they're just a fun knife for you, so you just have to go and buy it. And that's kind of what the open tag is about, is because this is going to be an open tag. Show me 3 to 5 knives or knife patterns that you seek out, but you never really use. You don't carry them. You just think they're really cool, and because of that, you collect them, simply because of the cool factor. I'm looking at it from the traditional stream, but I guess there's people out there who collect modern knives that also might have certain modern folders that they collect, but they never use. They just think they're really cool. And the reason for it could be anything. It could be sentimental. It could be, well, it's the knife my father used to always carry, so I collect them even though I don't carry them. Or it's just something you saw and it's like, man, that's kind of neat and I want it. For instance, I collect military fixed blades. They're not going to be part of this, but do I have a use for military fixed blades? No, not really, but they're pretty cool and I like them. And so I like to collect military fixed blades. The more original, the better, but if I can't get the original, then I will grab a repop until I can find an original to cover for it. But that's also, in this case, not what I'm going to be showing you. I'm going to be showing you 5 traditional pattern knives that I collect, but I really never carry. But they just have such a cool factor to them that I just have to go and buy them when I see them. So let's start that part of the fun video now. Well, I hope it's been fun so far. If not, maybe it'll get a little more enjoyable. And if you guessed it, yeah, I've been struggling to figure out what I want to talk about, and that's why this video is the way this video is. In any case, I think the first knife I'm going to talk about is the Stiletto. I have no use to carry a stiletto, but as I've mentioned in another video, this is the very first knife I ever got. If you notice up here, it's been repaired. It was broken. I repaired the handle many years ago after I stopped carrying it. But I used to carry this knife all the time, and that was back when I was in high school. And why did I carry it? Because it was the only knife I had. I found it on the stairs in my high school, pocketed it, and I started carrying it after that. And I carried it for some time. Matter of fact, all the way until I got into college. This little stiletto. Like I said, it was the only knife I had, but it's kind of cool to still have it because, well, it's also really my very first knife, this stiletto. And so I have a fond spot for stilettos. And so I go on these binges where it's like, I want to buy another stiletto. And then I go and buy another stiletto. And well, you buy one other stiletto and then you go and say, oh, I like that stiletto, so I'm going to get that one. And then it's like, oh, but this one has that blade. I want that one. And then it's like, oh, this one's a fishtail. I got to have that one. And it's like, well, I don't have a white smooth bone one yet. I need to get a white smooth bone one. Okay, it wasn't long enough, but I'll have to look for another white smooth bone one later. And then, hey, what the heck, a coral snake. We'll grab that one too. And then, you know, how could you pass up a switchblade? So it's like you run into one and it's like, oh, wow, that's cool. I just want another stiletto. And do I carry them? No. Matter of fact, this is one of those knives that I will not carry simply because it is one of those things that, you know, you look at that and there's only one thing it can be used for. It's for stabbing people. It's a stabby knife. And cops are not going to say, oh, well, what are you using that for? I'm just using it to cut tape, officer. I don't believe they're going to go for that. They're going to assume that, you know, that is a weapon. So no, I do not carry stilettos, but I like to collect them. And, you know, as I break these out, it's like, man, I need to go back to eBay and type in white smooth bone stiletto because I've only got that 4-inch one and I really am looking for a 5 or 6-inch white smooth bone stiletto. So is it time to do that again? And it's like, yeah, probably. So I'm going to have to resist that after this video, and I know I will fail miserably. So now let me clear away the stilettos and move on to the next knife that I just go on these binges and it's like, wow, I haven't bought one of those in a while. I really need to buy another one. So here we go. Marlin Spikes. I'm not going to throw them all in front of you here. I've got well over 40 different Marlin Spike knives. All sorts of variety going on with them. Several of them are military style or military issue, both of Great Britain and the United States. And that's part of the reason I was so interested in Marlin Spike knives because they were used by the military, but they're also just a really cool looking knife. And there's a great history behind them. And being a person who really likes history, it's like, man, that's a really cool knife. So I go on binges on Marlin Spike knives too. It's like, hey, there's another one. And then once I buy one, I can't stop at one. It's always like buy multiples of the knife. And so Marlin Spike knives are definitely one of those knives that I did carry them for a while. I found them very uncomfortable and not needed. I had one good blade on there. I really don't use the Marlin Spike a lot, so I don't have a real need for it. I don't do enough rope work to constitute carrying one every day. So I know there are people who use them daily, and it makes sense for them. It doesn't for me, but they're such a cool knife that I just had to have one. And then that led to another and another and another. So it's a pattern that I like to collect. Let me go ahead and throw out my first little stiletto too. Next up is the mushroom knife. This is one by Mercury. The first one I bought was by Rough Rider, and it's like, man, those are so cool. And I don't eat mushrooms. I rarely eat mushrooms, at least. I've had some really good mushroom soup, but I'm not a big fan of mushrooms. I've never gone mushroom hunting, but it's such a cool knife with the little boar's hair brush, and you got the hawkbill blade, and then this one comes with a pair of tweezers on the side here. And they're just a really fun knife to me. And it's like, they're not all that cheap all the time either. Some of them are pretty expensive. At least in my book, they're pretty expensive. But I just saw them and it's like, man, that is such an odd, strange knife. And one led to another, and then another, and another. And they're not all the same. Now, I've tried to limit myself to just buying the ones with wood handles. This one's by Bergenball, which is a garden supply company in Sheffield, England. I think they're made in China now, but this one, according to the packaging, was actually made in Great Britain, which was pretty cool. And it's got the other style of blade that you end up with on mushroom knives, which is so cool. You don't see this blade anywhere else, really. And that was one of the other things that really just made me say, man, that is such a cool knife. And then this one has the brush that rotates, so the brush doesn't have to be sticking out. Many of these come with a little pouch too, so you can carry it, but almost all of them have some little dangler on there so that you can snap it onto a loop on your clothing, or like a belt loop or something, so you can hang it off of your clothing. And it's just, so it's out there all the time. So I don't know, it's just such a cool knife. And then this one here, this one's by Mercury, I believe. Is it Mercury? No, Joker. This one is made in China. This one was made in Italy. You got the boar's hair brush again, and you got the that funky mushroom blade, whatever you want to call it. The jimping on the back here, that's not for your finger, that's for actually knocking dirt off of the mushrooms. And this one also has, because I guess they're figuring as long as you're out there, you just will have a picnic. So you've got your can opener and your cap lifter going on there, and then a corkscrew on the back side here, so you can bring a bottle of wine with you, have some cheese and mushrooms and a bottle of wine, have a great time out in the woods while you're mushroom hunting. So yeah, mushroom knives are just one of those things that kind of fascinated me, so I had to go and start collecting those for one reason or another. And yeah, I actually have a search running on eBay all the time for mushroom knives. And again, these are knives I don't carry. I really don't. I rarely ever, I buy them, I hang them, I display them, I talk about them. I really like the patterns, but I really have no good use for them other than them bringing me joy. And then this one here, this is a type of bartender knives. I collect all sorts of bartender knives. I've shown this one before. I collect all sorts of barware in general, so that's why I have so many bartender knives. And I have occasionally carried these, but most of the time, no, it's not something I carry. I carry instead something like a Spartan, which can work as that. But I just love collecting bartender knives. I really should start carrying one once in a while because they do have a function. They usually have blades on there that you find on a typical jackknife, so you know you have that going for you. And really, the label cutter blade over here makes an excellent box cutter, so it is something that I should think about carrying. But for some reason, I buy them and collect them really for display purposes. If there's one that I might start carrying someday, it would probably be the bartender knife. But for the most part, no. I buy them to just because I like them. I don't carry them. There's no reason to carry them. I don't go around opening a bunch of bottles of wine or anything, so I don't need the corkscrew. But we all know I like corkscrews because when it's a Swiss Army knife, I almost always have it with the corkscrew. I wonder. The thing with these is they're almost always a collectible kind of thing, so I don't think I would have any that I could carry. But I wonder if I can get the screwdriver in there. It's not really going in all the way, but then it does close, so if I ever do start carrying a bartender knife, at least I can put my little screwdriver I need for my glasses on the corkscrew, and then that would make me feel better about carrying a bartender's knife. So I just might end up doing that one. Then it won't be in this lineup. Now the fifth one, I go through periods where I just go crazy trying to find these knives. And anytime one of them comes out, I have to go and grab it right away. And when it does come out, then I end up looking all over again for more of them from the past. And they are not cheap knives, but they are one of my favorite patterns to collect that I never carry. And that's this one right here, the elephant toenail or the sunfish. I just really like these knives. They just look so interesting to me. I find them fascinating. They've got an interesting, though very convoluted history about them. They were definitely made for the workmen. What workmen they were made for is really up for debate. But I just big, comfortable handle, nice, big, fat, short blade that you can really cut with and everything else. Secondary, so-called pin blade, that's almost as big as the primary blade. I prefer the ones that have the sleeve board handle, but the equal end ones are nice too. These I usually call the elephant toenail. The other ones I call sunfish. I collect both of them. Most people consider it one pattern, two names, and two slightly different handle styles. But yeah, that's probably my biggie. This, in more ways than one, this is probably my favorite knife to collect that I never carry. And one of these days, I'm going to have to take my cue from Knife Detector and just throw this in a pocket and carry it for a while. But to date, yeah, it's just one of those knives that I like to pick up and collect, but I don't carry. And I guess that's the challenge. Tell me 3 to 5 knife patterns that you like to collect, but you never carry, or you rarely carry, but it doesn't matter. It's still one of your favorite patterns. long way to get around to that. Hope you enjoyed the video. And I'm looking forward to your replies to this open tag challenge and your comments below. Thank you. Let me take just a second to thank you once again for dropping by and spending a few minutes here at Knife Chats with Tobias. I really do appreciate it, and I do appreciate any comments that you leave. And also, don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you'll know when the next episode is up and running. Thanks again for dropping by. Really do appreciate your time here.